Hello and welcome to Newsfeed, your daily dose of what people are talking about online, from news stories to what's trending. Fan favorites like The White Lotus, The Last of Us, and Severance, well, these are just a few of the shows you won't see fresh helpings of anytime soon. And you can blame greedy film studios, streaming, and AI for the massive dearth in content that's only going to worsen from the summer. Hollywood actors have been on strike for almost a week now over unfair work conditions. It's the first time in more than 60 years that nearly every performer and writer in Hollywood has walked off the job, bringing the multi-billion-dollar industry that employs over 2 million people to a virtual standstill. The strike involves 160,000 actors from A-listers to extras and 11,000 writers after contract talks with film studios and streaming networks broke down. One sticking point in the negotiations: residuals. Some actors have reported being paid as little as 1 cent in royalties. Can you believe it? As the rise in streaming has upended payment structures. While actors get paid unfairly, streaming firms and studios are reporting record profits worth billions. $22.73. That's on average how much actors in California were paid per hour in 2022. And take into account that as an actor, that paycheck isn't constant as they work on a gig-by-gig basis. And whatever they do make, well, at least 35% of that goes towards actors' agents, managers, PR teams, and lawyers, basically everyone who negotiates their deals for them. After all those deductions, what about health insurance? Well, to qualify for insurance under SAG-Aftra, that's the actors' union, performers must make at least $26,470 a year. All right, that doesn't sound like such a high bar to clear annually, but only 12.7% of actors under the union make more than $26,470 a year. And on top of being unable to afford health insurance, many struggle to make ends meet while being based out of expensive cities like LA and New York, where much of filming occurs.
All your favorite things that you've been watching for years, and you know those actors that you go, oh, there's that guy on that show. You may not necessarily know their names. Those actors are working class actors. We're literally working paycheck to paycheck.
So when we say actors aren't being paid enough, we're not talking about A-listers. We're talking about the majority of performers that keep your Hollywood shows coming. Some part of the main cast, but also background performers or extras. And as Nick reports, many still have to keep their day jobs like waiting tables or bartending, even after hitting the big time.
Oh my God.
In 2014, Kimiko Glenn finally had her big break.
Oh, thank God.
She was cast in Netflix's Orange is the New Black.
What's going on?
But despite being on the biggest show of the year, Kimiko couldn't even afford a taxi to work on set.
We did not get paid very well, ever. And when I say did not get paid very well, you would die. People were bartenders still. People had their second job still. They were famous, like internationally famous. Couldn't go outside, but had to keep their second jobs because they couldn't afford to not. We couldn't afford cabs to set, you guys.
I talk a lot.
Then, in December 2020, at the height of the pandemic, Kimiko got this reality check.
Oh my God, I'm about to be so rich. What? No.
What, no? Yup, that's exactly how the internet reacted.
Corporate greed has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho.
$27.30. And she was in 44 out of the 91 episodes of the show. She wasn't an extra, a guest star in like 1 or 2 episodes. She was pretty much a main cast member. In the beginning of her video, she even shows the list, which tells you all the episodes I guess you were in and how many times. And you can see a majority of these payments are either for nothing or a penny. I know we don't really know the time frame of this, like is this every 2 weeks? Is this every month? I don't think it matters at this point. You know, if you're making $27 a day, I don't think that that's gonna cut it. This was one of the original Netflix series. This brought in so many subscribers. It was a great show. And Netflix made $4.4 billion in profit in 2022.
Clearly this is not working.
And Kimiko's not the only one. Here's her Orange is the New Black co-star, Leah Delaria.
I'm happy to tell you that my latest residual check came in June, and it was for $20.23.
Low residuals have now become the norm. That's why 160,000 Hollywood actors are ready for a long fight against film studios and streaming networks.
Most actors have a hard time. So if you have a story, I think you should start posting about it and get people on the same page and understanding what's going on here.
And that's exactly what actors have been doing.
I'm Mandy Moore. I'm Katie Lowe. We are here standing shoulder to shoulder with our fellow guild members to fight for a fair contract around residuals, AI, everything. We are from How I Met Your Father.
We're all fighting for a livable wage.
Hi, I'm Bob Oden. We have to do this now, and we have to do this right.
All right, but how can you at home, maybe on the other side of the world, support the movement?
Here's the answer. Neither the Writers Guild nor SAG-AFTRA is calling for a consumer boycott right now. Instead, we're asking people to do 3 things. 1, post on social media, boost our message, say you stand with us. Number 2, follow our strike rules. Do not do the work of a striking writer or actor. That's called scabbing. And finally, and most importantly, donate to the Entertainment Community Fund. This is an incredible nonprofit that supports writers, actors, and any crew member who needs help paying their rent or their medical bills.
More work-related chaos. China is in the midst of a job crisis as the country's post-pandemic economic recovery falters. Youth unemployment has now hit a new record high. The jobless rate hit 21.4% in June for people aged 16 to 24. It was the 3rd month in a row that unemployment figures exceeded 20%. The latest stats mean that out of 5 youths in China, 1 is unable to get a job. One reason for this is that there's a mismatch between what graduates were trained to do and what jobs are available. The unemployment crisis has driven some young adults in China to become what they call full-time children. Unable to find work, they move back in with their parents, help out around the house for a small allowance while continuing to look for jobs. With the lack of jobs, though, that temporary stay back in the family home can go on for much longer than initially planned.
New trending words in China, full-time son and daughter. Young people will mainly stay with their parents and then they will help out as a way to pay rent. Not the real rent. But the good thing is, during this time, they will continue to study and work on their own career development. For example, find different occupations and trying out different routes. So people say this full-time son and daughter seems to be the parasites of the parents, but not really. This phenomenon was actually emerged during these past couple of years because of the pandemic. A lot of young people find they are very, very confused and they're also struggle to find the ideal job. So instead of going to the big cities and pay all this crazy rent, they've decided to stay with their parents and to save on rent while figuring out what do they want to do.
Staying in China, where rumors are swirling about the foreign minister Qin Gang, who has not made a public appearance in 3 weeks. His last sighting dates back to June 25th when he engaged in meetings with the foreign ministers of Russia, Vietnam, and Sri Lanka. Later, a scheduled meeting with EU diplomat Joseph Borrell in early July was abruptly cancelled without an explanation. Despite high-level diplomatic efforts to restore relations with the U.S., Qin was notably absent during the visit of U.S. Finance Chief Janet Yellen to Beijing, too. And just last week, the foreign ministry announced that Qin would not attend the ASEAN summit in Jakarta for health reasons.
Does the foreign ministry have any update on Foreign Minister Qin Gang and when he will return to public duties? Or why he's been out of the limelight for 3.5 weeks now?
这个问题我没有可以提供的信息。
The mystery only deepened as Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning at a press conference gave no details regarding when Qin might return to his duties. The questions from a Financial Times reporter concerning the foreign minister were conspicuously omitted from the official ministry record. And the matter is now subject to extensive censorship on Chinese social media. Whispers suggest that Qin may have fallen out of political favor with the Communist Party leadership. An equally widespread rumor revolves around an alleged affair between Chin and TV presenter Fu Xiaotian, who has also allegedly vanished. Now, we've all written typos in emails and texts. I mean, it happens to me all the time on WhatsApp. Sometimes there are even mistakes in the addresses, meaning our messages go to the wrong person entirely. As embarrassing as that can be, it doesn't come close to the data breach the US military has been guilty of for repeatedly mistyping an email address, and for 10 years at that. Our defense analyst Ubay explains.
So millions of emails from the Pentagon have been accidentally sent, some of which with sensitive information to Mali. It's a crazy story, but apparently a small typo changes the end of an email address from .mil, which is the Department of Defense email IP address, to .ml, had potentially been sending emails, although they're unclassified, containing sensitive information, including military personnel records, to the country of Mali. Now, a Dutch internet researcher has been trying to warn the Pentagon for years about how this small little typo can be sending potentially information that can be used by adversaries to target American military personnel. But so far, he hasn't received any type of feedback, and now this story has been leaked. The Malian government, incidentally, is also very closely allied with the Russian government and has contracts with that infamous Russian private military contractor, the Wagner Group. So you can imagine they can do a great deal for some of that sensitive information, including personnel records, including personal records of senior officers and regular soldiers in the American Armed Forces. So a small typo, but potentially with major national security implications.
Okie dokes, on to what's trending. Well, have you felt it yet? Have you climbed aboard and embraced the trend that's sweeping the world? It is, of course, Barbie Mania. As the global release date of the highly anticipated Barbie movie approaches, fuchsia-colored items are popping up everywhere, from stores to social media. Margot Robbie might have bid farewell to the press tour, but the movie campaign continues at full speed. Now, Sare has more from the pink carpet here in Istanbul.
The summer blockbuster season is upon us, and one movie is painted the world pink.
Hi, Barbie.
Before even hitting the theaters. The premise? A land of dreams and imagination, where one plastic doll reigns supreme. She is Barbie, the perfect accessory for every little girl's wish list, and the ultimate symbol of style.
But Barbie's influence extends far beyond the toy aisle. Thanks to the big screen version of our favorite doll, Barbiecore has become one of summer's hottest trends. And fans are pulling out all the stops to bring Barbie Girl to real world.
They're in luck, as Mattel is extending its reach in collaborations to provide the perfect merch for them, and not just for fashion. The toy maker has signed more than 100 collaborations to promote the movie, meaning you can stay in the dream house via Airbnb or dine in honor of the plastic icon at Burger King. Her glamorous world even finds ways to sneak into your Google search.
I can't go on Instagram without seeing an ad for a different company partnering with Barbie and coming out with a Barbie collection. Gap, they came out with a whole Barbie line. This random hair extension company that I've literally never heard of on my Instagram For You page, because now they're Barbies. Fun boy floats for summer. That's genius. Because who doesn't want to be in a pool and feel like you're in your own Barbie dream house? And this one, if you haven't seen this one, you live under a rock.
Barbie and my favorite color pink are everywhere. I have really high expectations of the movie. Growing up, she was my favorite toy. I grew up with Barbie cartoons, and I hope to find the same excitement in the movie.
Born in 1959, Barbie's legacy spans decades, and its creator's epic campaign taps into the fans' longing for childhood to create consumer excitement. Nostalgia sells. Mattel's stock prices are up by 15% in the past month.
After facing declining sales in the mid-2010s, Mattel and Barbie have since made a massive comeback, but it's really critical that they stay relevant with future parents so that they keep buying Barbie for their kids. Now, if you look at the audience that they're targeting with this movie, it's clearly hitting those people in their kind of late 20s, early 30s who loved Barbie when it was absolutely at its peak. And they're also at that prime age where they may be considering buying Barbie for their kids.
Director Greta Gerwig's Hot Pink Fever Dream aims to be an experience that transcends screens. Even the simple hype around the movie proves that Barbie is one of the strongest brands of our time. It really is a Barbie world, and we're just living in it.
And that wraps up today's show. Find our latest shows on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.